Welcome back to our channel, and we'll resume our purchasing business process as part of accounting information systems. And we'll focus more on the database today, and we'll have some concepts, important concepts that we'll also take up. So we will start with the database design, and then the SQL statements, and then the transactions from PO to cash, and the bonus concepts from auditing theory to we're back to our PG Admin 4, the platform for our Postgres database. So let's create the database, then the tables, and then the transactions. So let's create it. We right click, create database, and we'll type the name. In this case, purchases DB version 2. Right? Then we click save. Now we have it. And then we create the tables, but in order not to start from scratch, we'll use a file. We select the query tool and then click the icon and open purchases DB version 2 SQL. So we'll create the table now. We already explained the syntax regarding this in the previous video. So check it out. So suppliers, products, purchase orders, the purchases, which is also the inventory table, accounts payable, and also take note of the message, the successful message. All right, we have finished all our tables. Now we insert the data, table chart of accounts, suppliers. These are the lookup tables, products, and then we have the transactions table, purchases, accounts payable, and then we have the table cash register, but we will insert this later so we can see the balance of the accounts payable. So we can select it. So the select statements is just simple, right? The select, then asterisk, which means all columns. Example in a chart of accounts, suppliers, right? Products. Let's just run this through. Purchase orders, so you can see purchases, accounts payable, and then the cash register, which is still empty. Okay, so one thing, you can also select a specific column. So for example, in this case, account ID, you can always choose account ID, right? So that's how a select statement works, right? And our first concept is normalization. We also add joins and referential integrity, which we have already explained in the previous video. So in this case, we have added account ID and amount to our purchase details. So the rule of thumb is normalization. Okay, so the purpose of normalization is to eliminate redundancy and data inconsistency, but sometimes we have to create some redundancy, as we shall explain later. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So in this case, we have there the table suppliers. Okay, so the table suppliers is actually related to the purchase orders. As you can see here, the foreign key is the supplier ID. And then we have here the products, which is also a lookup of this purchases table, product IDs, you can see here. And then we have the table chart of accounts, of course, the account ID for purposes of accounting. And then we have also here the primary key purchase orders, which is related to this table. So now let's go to our common table expression and let's explain the select statements within it. So let's go. So all right, here we are. So we have three select statements from the accounts table. The main table here is cash, and then the purchases table. So what we have here is that the purpose of this select statement is to query accounts payable, right? And but if we query, let's go back to our. We query this one and look at the results. As you can see, we don't have account name for this. We explained earlier about normalization, right? We need to reduce redundancy, right? So we cannot just so for example, in this case, right? You cannot repeat all the if we do this manually, we need to identify the corporation, right? And then of course any address we have to repeat that. So going back here, that is why we need to make a join. And the only issue about join, as I said earlier, is when it gets too many also, the query performance will suffer. So you have to strike the balance, but it's not our job. Anything else, our goal is to create a table with these four headers right here. Okay. So if you can see, we have here select account ID and account name. As you can see here, this is, by the way, these are aliases, right? So this is from the purchase orders, and this is from the accounts payable, and this is from the table chart of accounts. Okay, as you can see here, their table names. But anyway, so as you can see, AP, this comes from the accounts payable. We could have used the account ID from the chart of accounts, but for purposes of just illustration, we'll just use uh, accounts payable table. And then so again, the account name, and then we have a condition right here that says that if the DRCR column is debit, then we will choose the amount, right? Correct. So the amount of the debit column under the debit column, and the same with the credit column, so that we can segregate the debit and the credit. Okay, and then we have the purchase order table, and the purpose of the purchase order table is simply to note whether they are posted or not. Okay, so this explains uh, every time if you are already if you have the accounts receivable or accounts payable accountant, and you will see that if the entries are not yet posted, it will not reflect in the reports that you can generate unless your supervisor will post it in the ledger, as they would say it. And then, of course, we have here the table chart of accounts. You already explained that the purpose here is to get the accounts name. So it's the same. This is the same formula for every table, right? So it's the same formula, all right? So the only difference here is the cash register, because it will not go through the purchase orders table. And that is why I said that sometimes data redundancy is okay. Okay, that is why the question is, if we have the posting index in the purchase order, so why did we repeat it? Why do we have the posting columns in all of the tables? And the answer is simple. So in this case, we do not need to go to the purchase order just to reflect the payments, right? So we need a little bit of a redundancy there, instead of creating joins, as I said, because sometimes it will create query performance. But that's not our concern. But it's just a good thing to throw this practice and concept out there so that in your audit you will be aware of these things. Now that we have discussed what referential integrity is, you just try to think the effect of it on your audit, your assessment of risk, right? Your assessment of risk, the accuracy, the completeness, and as you can see in referential integrity, you cannot just delete any tables that has relationships with other tables, and that for you is already a security. Of course, you have to consider the internal controls, right? But that's not part of our topic for today. It's just presuming that we have a good internal control. Then this is a classic example where you really can trust a relational database in terms of its features. And last but not the least, this is the formula for creating our ledger, right? So if we take note of this, we will be using this more often. I would just like to mention about parallel simulation integrated test facility. Well, this is it, right? If you can know the tables and the relationship, you can actually extract the table using this kind of select statement, right? So you won't be even needing the reports of your client if you know how to if you know the process, the method of coming up with the reports, and plus the knowledge of the tables and the relationship and what's the data in it. So let me take a look at here is the integrated test facility. So this is an auditing concept, auditing theory concept. So integrated test facility, the auditor will create its own data, dummy data, feed it to the computer alongside the excuse me data transactions of the client, and then we generate the reports. And if we come to take a look at it, this the trick here is still SQL. Just like what we did. There's no secret here. No matter what kind of language applications, it's SQL. So I think SQL is very powerful for auditors. Not so much for the accountants that I have defined, the tax filing accountants, but you know, data analytics and auditors very powerful tool, right? But it could also be a powerful tool for, but it's not necessary for accountants. And then we have here is the illustration of parallel simulation. So I already marked this. So we have here the auditor simulation program and the simulation report. So it's still SQL, right? So no matter how you slice and dice it, it's all SQL, right? Okay, so I hope we could discuss more auditing theory concepts alongside with this database learning we have. And have a good day. And don't forget to subscribe. And I will share the files to you, maybe with GitHub, as I will try to establish. I'm still new to these things. And have a good day. Happy learning.